What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with a travel edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Yeah, I'm coming to you early in the morning. Gonna fire this up super quick, super easy because, well, I love you guys and we want to make some money together. So let's do that, shall we? You can do that automatically if you live in Pennsylvania. Look at this. Look at this cool thing. Pennsylvania launch bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets and 50 spins. It's weird. I can move my head like this because I don't have my TV right there. Anyway, you bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets and then 50 spins on the virtual slot machines, only for 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But of course, friends, we got a lot to get to. 16 games on the slate for today. So without further ado, producer Jacob, top of the morning to you. Let's get to the picks. I will say it was very nice to have everybody hit me up this morning and last night. Hey, Eric, where's the video? Where's the video? Well, here it is. Colin Ray, Nick Martinez. This is a game that starts in like an hour and a half. So this is going to be pretty quick for you here. You can just bypass this one if you're so inclined. But we've got game 2 to talk about here, so you probably want to stay tuned. Colin Ray, not my favorite back by any means, gives up power to everybody. Expected ERA way higher than his actual ERA. We've talked about that a lot. Nick Martinez is a guy that I kind of want to be backing at times, but looking at the player props here, they're pretty efficient for this first game. We'll see what they look like for game 2, but I have all of my prop assortments to be able to pick from and choose from and model and group together, and I still have nothing that pops here for it. So I have Jonathan India. This is the same play that I was looking at last night where I'm like, oh, this is going to potentially project out really well. It does not project out very well. So we're going to be bypassing it. Jonathan India, 2+ bases, just to lean for me. And then for game 2, the pitchers that we're looking at, yet again, just awful stuff. This Hall and Louder, basically they're 2 bullpen arms that you're kind of looking at here. DL Hall, it's a real person. He throws baseballs. He's left-handed. That's like all I've really got for you. It's like a long reliever type, 4 innings, 3 innings, 5 innings, 4 innings, 4 innings, over 10. We're going to just be leaning that direction. Need more information here because Milwaukee, we obviously know I suck at betting them. Atlanta had Philly, and yesterday, something that popped up for me, it was just like one of those things where it's random circumstance where it's like, oh, I'll just update my total outs model. And, well, my favorite play existed in the total outs department. It was the under of 17.5 outs for Charlie Morton, -104, closed -135. So obviously a lot of people joined me in on that party. He finished with 17 outs. So it felt really good to be able to convert that for the people. Then we're going to the total outs in this game, ironically enough, again, but we're going to go to the Philadelphia Phillies side. This is obviously a series that matters big time in Ranger Suarez. As I look at him, hasn't been as good of late, and there's been some weirdness with Ranger Suarez and some of his pitch mix stuff. Basically, we're kind of expecting regression towards the mean at some point in time, but for me, Ranger Suarez is at 15.5 outs. Philly, they ended up finding a way to get that ball game late yesterday. I think Ranger Suarez gets a little depth for them, but mainly this is just a play on the number. 15.5 outs. Always a low projection when you get that 5th inning, when you're looking at going the 3rd time through this lineup. Southpaw, -115 at DK. I will take the bait. Just a small play for me here. And Tanner Houck versus Casey Mize coming back off the IL here for today. That's the assumption, at least. Casey Mize is the listed pitcher everywhere right now, but I'm not positive if it ends up being him because we would see an announcement by now, but obviously stay tuned to that. I think either way this works out, even if it's not Casey Mize, it's going to be somebody probably of lesser degree than Casey Mize, and Casey Mize has kind of been a disappointment here after being a highly touted pick once upon a time for the Detroit Tigers. And I think there's some interesting total bases across the entire Boston side of this one, because again, if it doesn't end up being Mize, there are some lesser options. So all of these prices that are priced for Mize would look even better potentially, as long as it's not bullpen arm for like 1-2 innings apiece throughout the entire game. And I'm looking at Tyler O'Neill, over 1.5 total bases. This guy strikes out a lot. Casey Mize doesn't strike out a lot of people. That was supposed to be what he did, but I guess that's the point of most pitchers. But +110 over at Bet365. Ooh, let's talk about them quick. If you want to bet that Tyler O'Neill play, or The Juan Soto home run coming up. Spoiler alert, that's plus 425 over at Bet365 where I bet it. Pennsylvania launch, bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets. It's available in Iowa, New Jersey, tons of places. Only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks. Not a ton to mine out with this one. We got Shota Imanaga and Jake Irvin here. And Jake Irvin, his family probably wanted to come from my head that one time that I talked about. But anyway, we don't know exactly what's going on here with the Cubs side of things. It's just kind of, there's a number of different guys that could get rolled out in this spot. So it's really hard to go out and project. But if it's Imanaga at minus 158 here against Irvin, yeah, I would be interested. But I need confirmation on it. So I have to make it Cubs lean. I can't really do anything until I have the official starter. That's how baseball tends to work. Next game. I'm a little bit surprised by this number, and I thought when I ran everything, oh, this is going to jump off the page. But Martin Perez, guy found a little bit of strikeout magic there in San Diego at the beginning of his tenure. We ended up going against him a couple of times pretty successfully here of late, but still sitting with a 4.5K prop. You know who else has a 4.5K prop in this game? Taj Bradley, which is just absolutely insane when you go through some of the numbers, because you would think, well, against any baseball team, Taj Bradley with a 27% K rate is going to pop. But you have such a low K rate here on the other side with San Diego. You've got him, running into some innings issues and a 10.6% barrel percentage, taking on a top 3 team in baseball in terms of WRC plus against right-handed pitching this season. But I still like the over of 4.5 strikeouts. That's what it comes down to. It's juiced a little bit at minus 135. Maybe make this a parlay piece if you so describe, but anything inside of minus 140, I'm going to have on the card for a half unit here. So there you go. Talked about it a little bit there, the quickest ad read of all time, but Eric Fetty and Marcus Stroman in this one. Marcus Stroman, I looked at his total outs. I thought it's like 16.5, but heavily juiced, 17.5, lesser juiced, but it's still not going to be a positive EV for me, so I'm going to have to pass. But Eric Fetty, he's been pretty decent overall this season. Obviously, he was one of the better arms in Chicago, which isn't saying much. It's like being one of the we're not going to use that analogy. We're going to just move ourselves along, just to keep things moving, But Eric Fetty overall, he's right-handed, and Juan Soto is left-handed, and platoon advantage, plus 425 at Bet365 for him to homer. Yeah, this was the first click that I made of the entire day. It made no sense that I wouldn't be putting this on the card. We're talking about Juan Soto here. Better than plus 400. I know Fetty's been decent in the power metrics, 36.1% hard hit, 308 xWOB, but what he does is he gives up fly ball contact, 28.1% fly ball percentage, only a 42.2% ground ball rate. If you give Juan Soto an opportunity, if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a home run to go with it. So Juan Soto to homer. Cool. All right, enough of the props. I want to get some people, the people who don't always bet my props every single day or don't have the ability to bet those props every single day. Let's get you something on the board, shall we? We got Pittsburgh, we got Cleveland, and it's Bailey Falter against Ben Lively. It's not that I love Ben Lively. I'm not going out of my way to back Ben Lively here in this spot, but he does a couple of things that I think are okay for this specific spot. He has a sinker that he mixes in, gets some ground ball contact with it. Again, 41.9% ground ball percentage. We just talked about it last time, and that's not good by any means. But look at Bailey Falter on the other side. 35.8% ground ball percentage, nearly a 30% fly ball rate in Progressive Field, where we've seen this play smaller and smaller this season to left-handed power. Now, Bailey Falter is a lefty, so, there's that. I had a hiccup, sorry. But we are very much in the business of trying to pick on these Pittsburgh Pirates with a bullpen and starting to shut things down and limiting innings. And they're not going to limit Bailey Falter's innings because they don't care about Bailey Falter, I don't think. I care about him as a person. Hope he's doing well. But I hope he loses today by 2 runs. That would be great, because I like Cleveland at plus 130 here. We're talking about a 9 total, the variance of the ballpark, Ben Lively, and then the best bullpen in baseball. I don't see how this doesn't grade out well. This should be plus 115, plus 120, and yet we're getting plus 130. So take it to the bank. Oakland and Texas, JP Sears and John Gray on the mound for the Texas Rangers. John Gray used to have a ton of strikeout stuff. Doesn't really have it so much anymore, but he's been an efficient pitcher here. Yet I do think JP Sears is one of those guys that you can randomly back in spots like this where you're getting plus 130, and you can run into a couple of magical outings over the course of the season and look really, really smart. But I think it's a little bit thin. This game entirely looks a little bit thin. And yes, our Lord and Savior, Corey Seager, my God, the guy just went completely ballistic in the last couple of days. And well, last week with the 2 home run call, that felt really, really nice. But I think you have to stay away from everything here. It's left on left with Sears. John Gray, I don't really feel like picking on. Everything looks pretty efficient. The total 8.5 here in Arlington makes sense. It's Oakland money line if you have to do anything. And a prop that I absolutely love for today, Seth Lugo and Framber Valdez. This is probably, as I grade out every play on the card, my favorite one that exists. But Seth Lugo's been really, really good. He's been top 4, top 5 in AL Cy Young odds pretty much the entire summer, which is a wild thing to think about, that they have him, that they have Cole Reagans. Yeah, they didn't really have a chance because Tariq Skubal exists. But we're looking at Framber Valdez, ground ball especial on the other side of this one. Not going to be looking at any specific game or specific spot for him here. He should be able to keep the ball in play, or sorry, not keep it in the yard here against some of these righties. And obviously that matters when Bobby Witt is one of them. But Vinny Pasquantino wanted to give a note here that he did break his thumb. 6 to 8 weeks going to be out. Terrible timing for Kansas City. Hopefully he's back. And, as somebody who's a Twins fan, AL Central, yeah, it's fantastic when news breaks your way, but you never want it to be injury related. But is what it is. He will not be in that lineup. But interested to see how this works out. I think Michael Massey probably plays a little bit more, even left on left in spots like this. But a number of different options that they'll have. But hopefully Vinny Pasquantino is back sooner rather than later. Let's get to the play, though, because it's not Framber Valdez. We're going to be going to Yordan Alvarez because this is a weird number to be getting. Plus 110 against any right-handed pitcher in this ballpark. Now, the home runs, people always ask me, Eric, you took his total bases. Why don't you take his home runs? Or why do you take his home runs? Because they're different numbers. You're projecting out different things. And the home run play does not grade out well for me. But the total bases, because you're adding singles, doubles, triples. Well, triples like 1 in 30. But anyway, 1.5 total bases at plus money here is crazy to me. We've seen Alvarez bat second here, and sometimes, it's probably going to be sitting there third behind Altuve, Bregman, him. But anyway, we've seen a number of spots where Yordan Alvarez, I can't remember many righties where you were getting plus money on this kind of a prop in Minute Maid. So give me that, and let's move on. Very little to talk about here. Me and Matala Miguel and Jonathan Cannon. This is a wild number, minus 255. What are we doing here? What are we even doing here? But I very much want to be looking at the total. This thing gets to 9.5. I'm going to be looking at shorting it, but that's just like a perspective thing. As the numbers stand right now, minus 137, I guess, on the run line, but we're talking about 58% of the time, 60% of the time, the Mets have to win by 2 here, and running the modeling, I guess it shows up as positive EV, but I just negated it. I'm writing it off here. We are not doing it. I'm done talking. And now I will start talking again. Kevin Gausman and Pablo Lopez, 4 kids, and I got to take all of that ass to showbiz. How is it? He is so unlucky. Pablo Lopez is so unbelievably unlucky. And of course, he plays for my Minnesota Twins. We are cursed. But Kevin Gausman brought it up multiple times. The strikeout rate is down from year over year over year. The splitter is not splitting. Changeup isn't changing. Things aren't going very well for him. And well, there's this Matt Wallner guy who has nearly like a 300 expected ISO against right-handed pitching in target field. Weather's good. Hitting's going to be good. Matt Wallner's going to be good. He's going to hit it high and far. Here's your home run play you were looking for. We got Juan Soto. This was already posted in the premium Discord because, again, these are the things you can do when you record in the morning. Early in the morning. It's Matt Wallner to home run. Anything better than plus 325. There are a lot of books available with that number. If you guys want to sign up for that premium Discord, 50% off your first week or month using code Lindy50. I love seeing all the new faces. Great places. South Dakota. That's our theme from our state. But you don't care about our license plate. You care about winning bets. And I can help you do that down at the Discord below. Daily picks plus premium Discord. You get notifications to your phone from the Odd Shopper app if you download the Odd Shopper app today as well. But the Odd Shopper Marketplace, friends, it is live. It is splendid. I love it there. You will too. Hopefully see you there. And again, promo code Lindy50. That's $10 for your first week or $25 for your first month. Alrighty, all back to the picks. We got Suarez and Gomber going at it. Baltimore and Colorado. It's weird because, being somebody who's been in love with baseball forever, Just as a kid, you never saw matchups like this, and it still takes me back where you have AL playing NL, and it's like, why weren't they doing that before? What a weird thing that they had in interleague play. Ooh, and now nobody even talks about it anymore because it's just commonplace. But I will say Baltimore and Colorado is not something that my brain can process very well. But who didn't process anything well? The Baltimore Orioles in LA, because they got romped by the Dodgers. A lot of teams are going to get romped by the Dodgers coming down to the end of the season. Ironically enough, I'm actually leaning Arizona today, but we'll get there. Suarez and Gomber in this one. I am very much behind Baltimore on the money line here. I don't understand how -142, coming off of a couple of losses, feels as though if they had just played neutral baseball over the course of the last month and a half, this number would be like -175, -180. Alas, sometimes you can buy in on a team at the bottom, and it doesn't sound like, oh, they're still favored. But think about it. We're talking about Baltimore, one of the AL contenders, hitting a rough patch for the last month and a half. And the Colorado Rockies, not an NL contender, bottom of their division. Like, what are we even doing here? This is a great opportunity. Make it a parlay piece if you don't want to be laying $1.42 to win, 100. But I'm going to. So there you go. Seattle at LA here. I want to pull the trigger on this. I really, really do. But this Aldegari fellow, it's just a little bit tough to figure out exactly what we're dealing with. Now, he's like the number 8 prospect here for the Los Angeles Angels, went through some of his pitch mix, got a look at, a couple of his prospect reports, pretty much like a neutral pitcher across the board. Does throw like mid-90s, so he has a little bit of different stuff there. The curveball is okay. The changeup is, an improved pitch year over year, but yeah. The under would be a lot of fun here because I do think George Kirby has a good outing, but I'm not going to back him at -186 on the road outside of the ballpark in T-Mobile. That is awesome. If this were in T-Mobile, yeah, you smash the Mariners, but this would also be like -220. Under 8.5. I'm going to call it a lean light because in the event that this gets to 9 or 8.5 even money, I think I will pull the trigger. But as of right now, I'm just going to sit, wait, wish, and bet other things. Insert other things I'm thinking about: Clayton Kershaw, Zach Gallen, 2 pitchers that, if this were going on 3 years ago, this total would say 7. But that's not the current iteration of Clayton Kershaw that we've got here at the moment. And I would say Zach Gallen, too, somebody that I've always loved. He's been a darling of mine as far as backing. Probably, if I were to pick out my top 3 starting pitchers that have won me the most money over the course of the last 3 years, 4 years of making these videos, it is surely Zach Gallen. I could go back and look. Actually, now I'm curious, and I probably will do that when I'm getting home. But anyway, we've got ourselves Arizona running a romp. They're doing really, really well. Best record in baseball since the All-Star break. But I want better than +114 if I'm going to take that shot, take that dart. We're talking about a bunch of lefties. And Zach Gallen does give up hard hit, 40.4% hard hit, 255 expected batting average. And it is no joke having Max Muncy and his power back in this lineup alongside Gavin Lux, alongside Shohei. And then, yeah, the litany of righties here too. My goodness. But anyway, Arizona money line just a lean for me as of right now. Let's get to one more play before we get out of here, shall we? Adam Oller and Blake Snell, Miami at San Francisco. Third, I don't know. I'm not going to compare all my bets. I have a lot of bets going, but we got Adam Oller, we got Blake Snell, -275. We're not going to be backing him there. We're not going to be backing him on the run line, -114, considering the 7 total here in San Francisco. Again, hopefully that makes sense. Ballpark variance. When you talk about a ballpark that suppresses run creation, harder to be backing the run line here, but kind of was where I was steering at first, but then I got to upload the props because, again, that's the beauty of being able to do this in the morning. Blake Snell at 7.5 Ks. I've got him at 9.2, which would technically be a lock because of the disparity that I have between them. But you got to think about all of the different plays that we've had throughout the MLB season. I think it's a little bit forced if I'm trying to lock something like Blake Snell here over 7.5 Ks purely because San Francisco, they're kind of on the brink of like, do they really need to push Blake Snell? I get a little bit trepidatious this time of year figuring out like how teams are going to deal with some of their aces and the innings limitations. But just know that if this were a neutral day in June or July, trust me, this would be a lock. But Blake Snell over 7.5 Ks, it is juiced pretty heavily for what it's worth, -140. So obviously ups the variance of that. So Blake Snell, love this prop. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button down below here if you enjoy my dedication to the craft, if you will. Bet365, check them out as well. Only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And last thing, Lindy50. That is the link you want to use down below for the marketplace. Get your first week or month of our Discord, well, of my Discord and my daily picks. That's what you're going to be getting. 50% off that first week. Lindy50. Would love to see you there, my friends. Thank you, producer Jacob. I know he really enjoyed this recording time. That makes me nervous for the future, but we're going to get you up out of here. Be on the lookout. NFL Lindy's. Oh, NFL Lindy's coming next week. Can't wait to bring it to you. Until then, until Monday, because I'll be doing baseball. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Friday and this entire weekend.